Here we go again with another set between the Leafs and the Oilers. McDavid versus Matthews. Matthews versus McDavid. Only tonight we didn't get that matchup because previous game against Calgary, Matthews kind of got shoved from behind into the end boards by Anderson. And then after that, Matthews kind of went after him a bit and had a burr in his saddle. And he did something to his wrist when he went into the boards. I thought it should have been a penalty when he got shoved. I mean, I know it wasn't a hit from behind where they're right against the boards and it's like you could break your neck and stuff, but still, I mean, his back was turned and he shoved him into the end boards. So if they're trying to protect the Stars and all that bullshit, I don't know why that wasn't called. But of course I'm pissed off about that because our best player is now out of the lineup. So lineup news and notes. Matthews was out, but it does sound like it's day to day. But pretty much everybody else that was out is back, with the exception of a couple of notables. Simmons is still out. I think his is more long term. I still don't know what's wrong with him. I think he must have a broken wrist or something. I don't know. And then Freddie Anderson is still I think day to day or whatever he is. The bright side though, Muzzin was back in the lineup tonight. Thornton was back in the lineup. Hyman had already been back the previous game. And Jack Campbell was back, and their backup goalie it was back, and he got the start tonight. So the game was all about pace. This thing was fast and furious, and for once, it happens every so often. I have to applaud the refs for their job in this game because they only called one penalty the whole game, and it's just kind of like 80s hockey. The only penalties they ever really called in 80s hockey for the most part was when there was fights. And you know what it did to the game? Because I watch replays of old games sometimes, and with no stoppages during the play always happening like it does now, it allows the teams to just settle into this rhythm of just go. Line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4, over and over and over again, right? And the game just takes on this frantic pace to it that just makes it so much better. You don't care that guys are getting hooked and held and all that other nonsense because they're all going 100 miles an hour the whole time and just going balls out, right? There's not all this stoppage, wait for a power play. Oh, these guys haven't been on the ice for all period because they've taken a bunch of penalties, right? Like, it just interrupts the flow of the game so much. And I'm a guy that should like special teams because the Leafs have one of the best power plays in the league and get a lot of goals from it, and so I should be wanting the refs to call a lot of penalties, especially on the other team. But I'd rather not. I'd rather it all just be more even. Let them go. Let them decide it. And tonight was an example of that. So it was awesome. So yeah, it was a super fast paced, well played game, I thought, with one penalty the whole time, and it was just a beautiful game to behold. Also because the Leafs won, but. The scoring started on the only power play of the game, just past the halfway, first period, it was, the 14.5-minute mark, maybe, and the Leafs had been buzzing, I think, in the Oilers zone for a bit. Marner got control of it, high up by the blue line, and then he kind of carried it around the zone in behind the net, and then this big kind of congestion of Oilers defensemen and maybe one of the Leafs forwards or whatever had kind of materialized right in front of the net, and then Smith kind of went down as Marner dished the puck to Nylander, who was kind of by the left face-off dot, maybe a bit further in, and he unleashed a wrist shot that somehow went in through all these bodies and the goalie. Like, I don't know how he did it, but I wasn't expecting it to go in. So when the play stopped and all the Leafs put their hands in the air, I was like, holy shit. And then not long after that, a minute and a half maybe later, Leafs got on the board again. Tavares kind of took it in on the left side over the blue line, dished it over to Marner on the right, and he just beat Smith clean with a wrist shot. And that's how the first would end, 2-0. In the second, they would add one more, 11-minute mark-ish, somewhere around there, I believe it was. And this time it was Spezza. And it was just, he totally fooled Mike Smith in net. He got a big head of steam going, carried the puck down the right side, and he wound up for a slap shot and ended up faking the slap shot. And after he faked the slap shot, he then faked a pass across to one of the guys on his line, either Boyd, Travis Boyd, or whoever else is on his line. And Smith totally bit on the pass, pulled away from the post like he was sliding across, and Spezza just wristed it high into the net, and it was just like, it was total foolery right there. Like, he just got him really good. So that was 3-0 Leafs. That's the way the second period would end. And then in the third period, I don't remember the timing of the goal, but it was Hyman. He was doing some hard work in the corner, spun out of the left corner. Nurse had a wrap on him and then had to let him go or else take a penalty. And as soon as Nurse let go of him, Hyman just went beelined right to the net, cut across the crease, beat Smith high glove side sort of thing. So 4-0 win. So, what you can take out of that. Leafs didn't have to rely on their penalty or their power play to win the game, although they did get one goal on their lone chance. They played pretty well defensively considering who they were up against for a good stretch of the game. Actually, the other coach, Dave Tippett, seemed to be benching, not benching, but they didn't get overshifted or overplayed like they normally would in terms of McDavid and Draisaitl. They were stuck to the bench a little more so than usual, and he had the third and fourth lines out there because they were actually playing better and giving the Oilers a bit more energy. So good on the Leafs for defensively and shutting down those guys. Jack Campbell, it's not like he wasn't tested at all. It wasn't like it was a New Jersey Devils mid-90s Brodeur and net kind of shutdown game where they only faced 8 shots all game. Campbell had to face some good chances, and he was up to the task and got a shutout in his first game back. So that's encouraging. And in terms of the Leafs skaters, the best line on this night was the third line, third line, which right now consists of Mikheyev, Engvall, and Hyman. Mikheyev and Hyman especially. Mikheyev's speed is just so good and deceptive for such a big guy, and he was all over it tonight. Lots of chances, and he can turn on a dime too. The guy's he's kind of a beast. Like, he should have more points than he has, but he just sometimes gets bad luck and gets snake bitten and stuff. But he was all over the place. He had a really good chance for a one-timer, and of course his stick broke, right? Like, it's the poor guy. He just can't buy a break. And then Hyman was just like the whole team in a way were kind of bulldogs on the puck tonight, which is Hyman's normal thing, right? He's just a puck hound, and he was that same way tonight, and the whole team kind of followed that example, and we're just winning one-on-one battles, getting the puck, and making good plays with it, and it was just they just played really solidly and with a lot of pace, like I said. So. A really encouraging game. Very close game too. It was a lot closer of a game than the 4-0 score indicated. I thought it was pretty even keeled, but the Leafs just took advantage of their opportunities, and I think we're the sharper team overall. But it was closer, like I said, than the 4-0 score would indicate. And there's some guys on the Leafs that I haven't really mentioned much, like a guy like Zach Bogosian on defense. They set a stat tonight where it's, I think, his 17th game in a row or something like that, where Bogosian has been a even or plus player. So, he's not flashy. He's a more stay-at-home kind of guy. But that's what they need. They need guys that are responsive defensively, and he's proving that he is that kind of guy, right? So, a guy like him doesn't get much airtime or anything like that, but he's been really good for them. I thought Dermott played really well. Everybody seemed to have a higher gear tonight than they normally show. Like, Dermott was flying down the ice near the end of the game, just leading rushes and just all over the place. TJ Brody, I thought he had a pretty good game. He's kind of, for their big defensive acquisition this year, I thought he hasn't been a disappointment, but he's been flying under the radar a little more than I thought he would. A little underwhelming, I guess, sort of thing. But you just don't notice him a lot of the time, right? But he logs a lot of minutes, and I think he does well enough defensively. It's just, I think it's maybe more, I expected more points out of him by now. But either way, I thought he had a really good game tonight, and he's probably playing a lot better than I realize. I just, like I said, I expected a little bit more point production out of him, sort of thing. So, yeah, and then Marner and Nylander getting on the board. Marner hadn't had points in a couple games, and him and Matthews were both really hot recently, so it's nice to see him get back at it. Nylander, he scored the only 2 goals in the win against the Flames last game, and he opens it up tonight. So he's got 3 goals in his last 2 games. So, and Tavares especially, because we know he's been struggling. I thought, although he didn't get any goals tonight, I think he got at least 1 assist, but he was all over it, and he got lots of chances, right? So this is the type of game that a guy has who's been struggling. He has a game or 2 like this before he finally breaks through and starts getting back to normal and putting points on the board and stuff. So I expect he's going to be fine coming up in the near future too. So overall, just a totally encouraging game. Nice to have some guys back. Nice for Campbell to show that he's had no ill effects from being off that many games. And yeah, just nice to beat the Oilers, because the Oilers were really hot coming into this too, right? So to beat them and beat them pretty convincingly, and do it without Matthews in the lineup too. It's everything about tonight was very, very encouraging. So I'm sure Monday's game will be a lot tougher, but hopefully they'll be prepared, and we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So until next time.